Hello. Hey, we're talking about 30, 60, 90 triangles, and just like the proportions of the sides of 45, 45, 90 triangles, the proportions among the sides of a 30, 60, 90 triangle have also been known since ancient times. And part of the reason is that a 30, 60, 90 triangle is exactly a half of a equilateral triangle. So I'm going to tilt this um, and try to extend this. All right, I'm doing this by eye, but I think this looks like a equilateral triangle if you look at the whole thing. All right, an equilateral triangle has three congruent sides and three congruent angles, 60 degrees each. When we draw an altitude here, we've split that top angle into two congruent 30-degree angles, and an altitude is perpendicular to the base, so it makes a 90-degree angle. So we've created two 30, 60, 90 triangles. All right, and to make this easy to follow along, let's pretend that the original equilateral triangle had sides of 2 feet long each. All right, so when I drew that altitude from the top, I cut the bottom side into two congruent pieces, 1 foot and 1 foot. All right, now let's erase some of this extra stuff and focus on the 30, 60, 90 triangle that we have. All right, 2 is the hypotenuse. 1 is the shorter of the two legs. The short sides in a right triangle are called the legs. Let's call this medium side x. All right, and the Pythagorean theorem says that leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. 1 squared is 1. 2 squared is 4. I have the result that x squared equals 3. And that medium leg is exactly the square root of 3 feet long. All right? So, because we know that any 30, 60, 90 triangle is similar to any other 30, 60, 90 triangle, angle postulate tells us so, the sides are always in the same proportions. So if I can remember these proportions, 2 to 1 to the square root of 3, I can calculate any of the side lengths of any other 30, 60, 90 triangle if I know one of the side lengths. All right, let's start with an even number to make life easy. Let's say that this is 8. All right, and let's put some letters on here. Let's call this x. Let's call this y. Let's say I'm going to find x first. All right, well, x is across from the 30-degree angle. That's going to correspond to the 1 from my first triangle. X is to 1 as, now 8 is across from the 90-degree angle. It's my hypotenuse. 2 is across from the 90-degree angle in this triangle. So 8, x is to 1 as 8 is to 2. And now I'm going to cross multiply. 2x equals 8, and x equals 4. All right, now let's find y. All right, y is across from the 60-degree angle in this triangle. The square root of 3 is across from the 60-degree angle in my original triangle. So y corresponds to the square root of 3. And let's go with the 8 and the 2 again. 8 is the hypotenuse in the big triangle. 2 is the hypotenuse in the small triangle. Let's cross multiply. 2y equals 8 times the square root of 3. Let's go ahead and divide by 2. And I'm going to get y equals 4 square roots of 3. All right, excuse me. Any 30, 60, 90 triangle is going to have sides in these proportions. Let's make a little chart. A 30, 60, 90 triangle has one hypotenuse, one short leg, and one medium leg. The short leg is across from the 30-degree angle. The medium leg is across from the 60-degree angle. If I know the short leg and I want to get the length of the hypotenuse, I'm going to multiply by 2. All right, consequently, if I want to go backwards, if I know the length of the hypotenuse and I want to get the length of the short leg, I'm going to divide by 2. If I know the length of the short leg and I want to get the length of the medium leg, I'm going to multiply by the square root of 3. If I know the length of the medium leg and I want to get the length of the short leg, I'm going to divide by the square root of 3. All right, now there is a way to convert between the hypotenuse and the medium leg, but if you can just remember this stuff here, you don't need to know it. Let me give you a couple of examples. Let's say I've got a 30, 60, 90 triangle. Let's start off easy. Let's say this is 5. All right, I know the short leg. The 5 is across from the 30, so that's my short leg. I want to get the medium leg. I'm going to multiply by the square root of 3. 5 times the square root of 3. All right, I want to get the hypotenuse now, but I'm going to base it on the short leg. I'm going to take the short leg, multiply it by 2. So 5 times 2, 10. Let's take a trickier one. All right, let's orient this triangle a little bit differently. Let's say this is 60, this is 30. Hold on, that's terrible. I can do a better job than that. Okay, better. 60, 30, 90. Let's make this difficult on ourselves. Let's call this 5. All right, that's the medium leg. It's across from the 60. All right, I know the medium leg. Where am I going to go? I'm going to get the short leg. How am I going to get there? I'm going to divide by the square root of 3. 5 divided by square root of 3. All right, now I want the hypotenuse. I'm going to get there from the short leg. I'm going to take the short leg and multiply by 2. All right, 5 over the square root of 3 times 2 is 10 over the square root of 3. This is how you do it. You might have to look back at this again, but hopefully it helps. That's all.